Hey, for all of you that stayed up to watch this, you guys rock. Hey, SKOL Nation, buckle up. Welcome to the Vikings First and SKOL Special Event, your front row seat to the Minnesota Vikings blockbuster move in the 2025 NFL Draft. I'm Dave, joined by the Vikings First and SKOL's crew, Jonas, and our maestro, Tyler Forness, bringing you the ultimate breakdown of the Fans First Sports Network and, of course, Vikings First and SKOL. Tonight, we're diving into the Purple and Gold's bold pick, Ohio State's Donovan Jackson at 24. Is the left guard to transform our O-line? Is it the final piece? Is the question. Will they protect JJ McCarthy? Oh, you know my answer. Kevin O'Connell calls him, quote, a huge impact player, unquote. But will he live up to the hype? From scouting reports to college stats, we're unpacking it all. So grab your horns, fire up the SKOL chant, and let's get into why Jackson could be the key to the Vikings Super Bowl run. Yes, I said it. This is going to be a wild ride. Next on this Vikings First and SKOL Special Edition.
Let's go, it's time to be the GOAT. It's time to enter God mode, man, let's get it going. I wanna be the greatest, energy is overflowing. I know I'm stoking the fire, my desire's taking over, not tired, I'm inspired, rewired. I know just what is required, my brain knows how to decipher. The message is looking brighter, already paid up the pipe, but my game is getting much tighter. I feel my body on fire,
Hey there, buddy. How are you doing tonight? You were busy over at the SKOR North draft party. I caught quite a bit of it, and you look great.
Well, thank you. Yeah, it's been a really, really busy day, but at the end of the day, it's draft week, and that is exactly what you do. Dave, can you hear me all right? I'm talking a little softer because the wife is sleeping.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, good. I've got Marzipan, as you can see, sleeping in my lap to prevent her and Odie from running around and being chaotic. But it's really, really fun to go through the first round of the draft and have those conversations. And I'm really, really excited about the fact that the Vikings feel like they made a great pick. And I don't know if it's a great pick yet. I don't know if it's going to work out, but I can say that about literally every pick because we don't know. We're not going to know for a couple years, but when you have your organization that confident in how the pick has gone, you are confident. And I'm very intrigued to see how this is going to end up working out. I was steadfast and I didn't believe that it was going to be an O-lineman, and I ended up being wrong. They really believed that this guy is going to come in and be an ass kicker from day one. And the way that they talked about him in the presser, I didn't get to listen to the pressers, but I saw a couple quotes. They're really fired up about this. And
oh, yes, they were.
They are really excited about the fact that, hey, now they don't have to worry about any of these positions, at least for now. I still think you have to worry about center in a couple of years, and maybe you have to worry about right guard in a couple of years because Will Fries doesn't work out from a long-term perspective because he only has a 5-game sample size of that high level play.
Yeah,
so
I believe he will.
Well, I'm just talking about all perspectives here. So they are thinking that they're set, and then this is the offensive line that they believe can help them win a Super Bowl. And will they be right? We'll find out. I think Donovan Jackson is a really good profile. I think he can do some of the reach block stuff. I also think he's got a lot of power to his game. So you're not taking, it's like a combination between Gray Zabel and Tyler Booker. Because I think Gray Zabel had no play strength. Tyler Booker only had play strength. He did not have good movement skills. So you kind of got the best of both worlds by merging them together. And that's just a really simplistic take on the whole concept of what Donovan Jackson is. But it's a pick to try and maximize JJ McCarthy. I thought it might have been better to go wide receiver. Emeka Egbuka was off the board, and so was Matthew Golden, but Luther Burden was still there. And I like Luther Burden a lot. He's still available in round 2, which to me is, I never would have guessed it going into the year. But that kind of stuff happens. And there are obviously reasons for it. We'll find out what those reasons are. But man, I think we'll start here. Booker and Zabel go off the board. And I debated
right where I figured he would, Seattle.
Mm-hmm. I will say I wanted to text you to gloat that Zabel was off the board, but I decided to be nice. I thought he would go off the board, and I called it. I told Searles, because he's like, Zabel shouldn't go at 18. I'm like, I agree, but he's going to. And I had heard that all day, and he did. Gray Zabel to
perfect match for Seattle.
He's not a finished product, and I think that's a really important thing. But Booker going 12 is the pick that none of us saw coming, that we all should have seen coming, because Jerry Jones has a history when he loses a high impact player, he then takes one immediately in round 1. He's done it for years. So we should have known that it was coming. But I think it was really interesting. Both those guys are off the board. And I said it this afternoon that I had been hearing Tyler Booker might go earlier than we think. And Gray Zabel was going to go 18. And both those things ended up happening. So in real time, I'm trying to think, okay, let's hope one of the defensive tackles falls. And I had heard Harmon was going to be a Pittsburgh Steeler if they didn't go quarterback. And they didn't go quarterback. They took Derek Harmon. And Harmon, I think, is your penciled in replacement for Cam Hayward long-term, and short-term he can play on the other side. So
he's the ultimate Steeler. That's who the type of person they love. But yes.
Yeah, he is absolutely a Pittsburgh Steeler. So I think when you have both those things happen, okay, you hope Walter Nolan's off the board. I love the fit in Arizona. Absolutely love the fit. Why? Because when you look at Arizona and how that defense is structured, Jonathan Gannon is a Mike Zimmer disciple. They like to have a 3-technique engine running that thing. And because they have that 3-technique, now they can do a lot more things. There are things that they necessarily can't do from a long-term perspective, as far as like just this next year. But they have a much, much improved front. They still need to work on off-ball linebacker. I think they'll end up re-signing Kazir White at some point. Like Nick Rollis named his child after Kazir White, which, like, I don't know if you've heard that, but yeah, his kid's first name or middle name is Kazir. KYZR. I might be pronouncing it wrong. I'm sorry. It is 12:17 in the morning. I have a dog putting my leg and arm to sleep, sleeping in my lap right now. You know what, Dave? One day we're gonna have to get a shot of you, Merlin, sleeping in your lap just for the laughs, because that'd be quite the visual. For those who
he
don't know,
does occasionally. Yep.
Dave has a Great Dane, so that's why it's funny. And
they are lap dogs. Big
they
ones.
are. Oh, Great Danes are very sweet. Thank you everybody who's already joined tonight. We have 76 people here. I met a bunch of people at the Purple Daily Draft Party and the pre-party. Everybody was so
Vikings
nice.
First and SKOL pumped up by the Score North crew, which is absolutely fantastic.
Yeah. It was really cool to be there. It was really cool to have that experience to talk with people. And I'm really, really excited about what we were able to do. And I'm really excited about what we're going to have over the next few days, because we're going to have a lot. My wife is a saint, having to deal with the dogs, and then she's got to work early in the morning, and I'm going to be up till all hours trying to get some stuff settled in and ready to go. But
not as much as Judd's wife.
Oh, God bless her.
It's Judd Zulgat's 32nd anniversary, and he took his wife to the draft party. I thought that was awesome.
Well, I will say, I think she chose to go because she's like, well, at least I get to kind of spend it with him. But she's a saint. Don Zulgad is a saint. And yeah, it was really, really cool to kind of just be there and have conversations with people. I got to meet Doogie and Chris Long from KSTP, Jeremiah Searles, who all three of them are just nice guys. And all the Score North people are just so awesome too. Even if you don't love like their style of content, because it's different from what we do. They're just good people. And I think it's interesting to kind of see the dichotomies, and there's a lot of crossover with both sides. So I kind of want to do this, Dave. I kind of want to go over the first round a little bit and then kind of talk about some things, and then we can also talk
to us. Yeah.
Yeah. So the first thing was, holy crap. The Browns actually traded Travis Hunter away. They got a haul, Dave.
Well, I thought they were going to trade twice, but yes. Mm-hmm.
To get 36, and then they swap some picks, and then they get the first in next year. So the Browns get, I think, the Vikings 4th rounder, and then the Jaguars get the Browns 4th rounder in that swap. But to get that first next year, to go take a consensus top 5 player at pick 5, just look, if Travis Hunter becomes a Hall of Famer, you're going to have to eat a lot of shit, especially if Mason Graham doesn't turn out to be everything you think he could be. But if Mason Graham turns out to be really good, and then you hit on those picks, because the Browns have 2 of the first 4 picks tomorrow night.
Mm-hmm.
That's a humongous win for that organization who, let's be real, they don't have a quarterback right now.
Well,
it might be Kirk Cousins.
Go for Shedeur Sanders, the biggest story of the night, the fall.
I don't know. I really don't know if they'll go quarterback, because you could argue that, you know what, they just don't believe in any of these guys enough. Let's just not take one, and let's just take good ass football players, because I think Andrew Berry might be willing to just punt on quarterback and figure it out later, which by all means, it might not be the worst idea, because I wonder how much grace Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski are going to get for the Deshaun Watson stuff, because Jimmy Haslam straight up said, yeah, you can blame me. That's my fault. So are they being given a really long leash here? Because I think they've both done a great job overall.
Mm-hmm. Now, Anthony says, Travis Hunter, Hall of Famer? Tyler said, if he turns into one.
Yeah. And if he ends up being the player everybody thinks he can be, it's going to be like, the Browns just get criticized for stuff. And you know what? The Browns have mostly deserved it. But I thought they got a really good haul here, and they still got a consensus top 5 player in a relatively weak draft class. But the word generational talent doesn't gets thrown out way too much. This is a generational talent. He's like a top 5 prospect as a corner and a top 5 prospect as a receiver. He can play both at that high of a level. Charles Woodson and Champ Bailey played both sides in their time, and they both came out in the 98 draft.
Mm-hmm.
But they only played about 300 snaps at most each on offense when they were full-time corners. Neither one of them played much on offense in the NFL. Like a couple snaps. That was it. Hunter's going to get a chance to play both. It'll be interesting to see how it goes, because it's a much slower pace of play in the NFL. So you're going to get theoretically more rest time between plays, less plays per game. How is that going to manifest? I don't know. When I was talking with Jeremiah Searles about it, he's like, he should not play both sides. Your body gets walloped. Because I asked him, like, how much different is the punishment you get NFL versus college? I know there's a difference. How impactful is it? he said the 18 games is just, or the 18 weeks is just bonkers. It's a lot on your body, which
on
is
top
understandable.
of the rookie year, which goes from the kid's final year in college all the way through, because they don't stop. They prep for the the combine and all that sort of stuff prep.
Mhm.
And then they go straight into OTAs, and then they get ready for the season, and they've got to start. They get going, and it's like, I get to 10 games or 12 games or whatever it is, and their body just goes, bah. That rookie
Yeah.
wall is a bear. Put on top of that, he wants to play both directions, both ways.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting. We'll see how that manifests. Let's kind of blitz through some of these. I think there's some interesting picks to talk about here. Abdul Carter goes to the Giants. We kind of knew that. Will Campbell going to the Patriots. We kind of knew that one too. Mason Graham, we talked about him. Apparently, Myles Garrett picked him. Myles Garrett requested Mason Graham if they were going to make that trade. So that's noteworthy.
Very much so.
Ashton Genty going to the Raiders at 6. Armand Membao instead of Tyler Warren. This was the first real big surprise other than the trade. Because we had Hunter, a lot of people had Hunter and Graham locked in at 2 and 5. I had Genty locked in at 5. I really thought Genty was going to go 5. I ended up being wrong. A lot of us ended up being wrong. The betting markets were just through the roof at Ashton Genty going 5. So that was really interesting to kind of play out. I apologize. I'm kind of going to be darting a little bit between screens, and that's what, like, my camera's here. Screen 1, 2, and 3 is way over here. Trying to just get all my bearings together. Membao going 7 was weird, but then McMillan going 8. Dave, they just took an X receiver last year in round 1 in Xavier Legette, and now they're taking another one. I'm intrigued how they're going to use these guys. Like, redundancy isn't always bad when it comes to being a receiver, but it's not necessarily good either. Like, when you have those, it's like Twin Towers. How are they going to use them? I'm fascinated, very fascinated. Right, Marzipan?
Mm-hmm.
We got a good puppy in the lap right now. My foot's falling asleep. Kelvin Banks Jr., there was a ton of steam he was going in the first round. Saints make a lot of sense. A lot of people thought Raiders. Hey, Jonas.
Hi. Good morning, everybody.
Yes. Good Friday morning.
Yes. It's 7:27 a.m. So it's already bright outside. So yeah.
Well, it's
Yeah,
a little bit after midnight here, so
we are we're talking about kind of the top 10, just talking about some of those players. And what did you think of kind of how the top 10 shook out, Jonas? Because it was very interesting. There was a few surprises in there.
Actually, like when I thought the top 5 were like not completely set, but almost. And I thought it might get a little bit spicy once the Jaguars traded up. But then after that, almost everything fell kind of like we expected. I don't really know what the Browns would do at number 5. But otherwise, I think the top 5 were not very surprising. After that, the run on offensive linemen started a little bit earlier than I expected. So there's that. That's probably one of the reasons why the Vikings didn't trade down in the end, because that run started really early. But otherwise, I think I have seen more surprising drafts in the last few years.
Yeah, I have two. This was the real surprises started to come at the beginning of. Sorry, Marzipan, we gotta move. You are making Dad's legs fall asleep. The real surprises started to come in the teens, and I think the first really big surprise, Michael Williams going to the
Niners?
what do you call it? The Niners.
Niners.
Ton of sense. Eerily similar to Eric Armstead. Very long. I actually think he plays similar to Jadeveon Clowney. Not quite the athlete Clowney is, but they love to attack forward. They don't have a ton of bend, and they're really long, physical, stout run defenders. Just a really base player. Thank you, George. Thank you. I think that type of player is going to be really good in San Francisco, especially when you have Bosa on the other side. But I'm really intrigued the Tyler Booker pick. I feel like we should have seen it coming.
Yeah, kind of. And I actually expected him to go like right in that range. I think it was pretty clear. I mean, you can't trust everything from the pre-draft reports, but I think it was pretty clear that he was going to go higher than he is on most big boards. And I wasn't shocked that he did go top 15. I was a bit surprised about Dallas. I thought they would rather go pass catcher. I thought they might go in the direction of Warren after the Bears passed on him, but yeah, it didn't shock me.
Yeah, we really should have seen it coming with Booker because Jerry. I think I said it earlier too, Dave. Jerry Jones has a history of having a guy leave and then replacing him in the first round immediately.
Yes,
we should have seen that coming. The fact that we didn't, I think it's like a little hand slap. Like you should have known better. You should have known better, because it just made too much sense. It's also weird that Booker went that high because I had a second round grade on him. I know other people had a much higher grade on him, but it also speaks to what this class is and why I said I think like 50 to 60 guys had first round grades in this class. If you look at every single team's big board, or like every team will just have one or two guys that nobody else has, or maybe only one or two other teams have, because there's so much like flat talent across the board. And I think Booker ended up being one of those guys. And now they still have to find a way to get a receiver. Dak Prescott's throwing to CeeDee Lamb, Jonas, and myself. Good at the top, not so good underneath. But
for as long as Dak Prescott stays healthy.
Yes. Should ask if it's my healthy version or my current version.
We're gonna say current version because that receiver room is not great.
Now, speaking of your current version, Jonas, tell us what's up.
I have a little bit more time on my hands right now than I would like because like 3 weeks ago I fractured my fibula in practice. So not fun, but it's healing well. Surgery went well, so it could have been worse, but yeah, there have been times that have been more fun than this right now.
Gotcha. Must have felt nice when you did it.
I mean, I didn't exactly know what was damaged, but I knew that something either broke or tore in that moment. Like, that was pretty obvious to me.
Okay. Well, we hope you heal quickly. Now, back to after Dallas came Miami.
Kenneth Grant. That one, to me, was a surprise, but good for Kenneth Grant. He was my top defensive tackle in this class. He was not getting to the Vikings. The only way he was getting to the Vikings was if Colston Loveland and Kenneth Grant were both on the board and they took Loveland over Grant. at 22. But Loveland going to 10 to the Bears, Loveland is just his Sam Laporta. Ben Johnson got his Sam Laporta. So he's like every coordinator and play caller has like certain types of players that they like. And I think that type of tight end is exactly what Ben Johnson likes, because he can use him in such unique ways, and he can get him open and schemed up and get those, what do you call it? Those touches and get him into space. So that makes a lot of sense. Isn't Grant going there? They still need like 3 corners if they're going to move on from Jalen Ramsey in Miami, but that's a really good room right now. It's a really good like defensive line. Now you have Kenneth Grant, you have Zach Sealer, you have Chop Robinson, Jalen Phillips. The trenches look pretty decent in Miami on defense. Now, offensive line is still, it exists. They're alive. They're human beings.
Like
but
75% of the NFL.
Yeah. It's just been such a problem.
The top 25%.
It's been such a problem in Miami for years, and they just keep missing. Liam Eichenberg, miss. Austin Jackson is like mid, kind of a hit. I mean, is what it is. Is Patrick Paul going to be the guy? Like, it's just been rough there. I kind of feel for him. But then 14 was probably the most chalk pick of all time, Tyler Warren. Everybody had projected tight end to them for years and years and years. And early in the cycle, it was Tyler Warren. Everybody's doing it. So the Colts finally got their tight end.
Didn't have to trade for it, or go up, or whatever. Yeah.
15 was interesting, though, Dave. Jalen Walker. This was the first time, I think, ever, for at least in the first round, that the Falcons have taken a Georgia player in round 1. It might be like, it's been so rare. It might be like the first time ever, or first time in like decades that they've taken a Georgia player. So that in itself is very interesting. But Jalen Walker, they have edge issues. So theoretically, they'll be all right.
Mm-hmm.
They also traded for James Pierce. We'll talk about that one later.
Oh, damn. That trade.
Oh, so bad.
Like, it's unbelievable. The Falcons, every year, they do something like that in the first round of the draft. Last year, it was the Penix pick, which in the end did age a little bit better than we expected, because Kirk wasn't Kirk anymore. But man, this one was, I have no idea what they were thinking in that instance. Like, sure, they liked that player, but to trade a first round pick next year that might very well be higher than the one they just got.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that one was wild.
Yeah. So I do have some context on that, Jonas. The Josh Kendall is the Athletics beat reporter for the Falcons. They were going to take him at 15, but then all of a sudden Jalen Walker, who nobody expected to get past the Panthers, was still there. So they're like, okay, they took him, and then they started working the phones to get back up. And if you remember last year, after the Penix pick, they worked the phones hard to go back and get up, try and get Latu. So they loved Pierce. The fact that they were able to get it done. The Rams going back to into the 40s, kind of stinks, but they get 2 firsts next year. The Rams, after years of never drafting the first round, are going to have 2 firsts in the same draft. It's like it's 2013 all over again. Honestly, I don't really have too big of an issue with it. The general concept of, hey, we're going to go get our guy. I just don't think James Pierce is that good, and he's a head case. All these reports coming out about him just being like having these huge character red flags. Why are you giving up such a fortune to draft a guy like that? That to me is the biggest part. Like, if you were taking a guy who had no character concerns, had that kind of athletic ability, okay. but you're trading up for a guy who has massive character red flags. That's worrisome to me. That is borderline malpractice from the front office. And yeah, he's fast, he's explosive. I don't think he's very bendy. He's got to run around you. And he's not going to run defense. So the Falcons are just such a baffling franchise. Just baffling.
Yeah, it's sort of like the Bears of the NFC South.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, we didn't cover the Bears. I thought their pick of a tight end was absolutely hilarious. Now, I understand why they did it. Ben Johnson likes to run a 12 personnel offense.
Mm-hmm.
So they got a tight end. And they ended up selecting Colston Loveland, who was number 2 tight end on most people's boards.
Yeah.
All I could hear was the song, "The Bears Still Suck, the Bears Still Suck," running through my head. And we'll see how they do this year. All I can tell you is their fans. I was invited to go on the Frustrated Chicago Sports Fans Network tonight.
Yeah.
But they went off air early before I could come on because they were so irate over their pick.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing. Yeah, I'm going to be honest. It makes complete sense for Ben Johnson. I kind of mentioned it a little bit earlier. He's their Sam Laporta. They don't have a slot receiver. That's going to be what Loveland does. He's going to be their slot. He's going to be their manufactured touch guy. And is that a guy you want to take at 10? I don't know. But I get it. I think it's a really nice fit. And I think Loveland's a good player. But it did feel a little weird. But they also didn't give up there's one of their second round picks to go get Genty. So we could feel a lot different about the Bears draft after 39 and 41. Because remember, we buried and the industry buried the Lions for taking Jahmyr Gibbs and Jack Campbell at 12 and 18. And then they got Laporta and Brian Branch 34 and 45. And that's been one of the better draft classes of the past decade. That group of players. So maybe we just got to be patient and not bury it as much.
I want to thank you, George. We love this family too. You guys rock.
Thank you, George. Yes. Yeah, let's keep going. We talked a little bit about Walter Nolan. He's the engine to that style of defense. I really wanted him to fall to the Vikings. I thought he was a really good football player. It didn't happen because he's a really good football player. And he's got a profile that you want to bet on. There are issues. There are flaws. There are behind-the-scenes flaws too. But let me tell you, that's the kind of player I would like to bring into my building. The talent. The impactful nature of what he brings. I think it would have been a great fit in Minnesota. Yeah, there you go, Marzipan. I know. She's making my legs fall asleep.
Then came Shamar Stewart to the Bungles.
Oh, what a steal for the Bengals. They desperately needed a player like that, and they got him. Shamar Stewart can be an all-pro. Like, I love what he brings. He needs to learn how to finish. But the hardest thing in the NFL is to wreak havoc in the backfield. And he already knows how to do that at a very high level. Now you just got to, when you get there, you just got to finish. I can teach that a lot easier than teaching the first part. I also wasn't really that concerned about his lack of finishing. Pressure matters more than sacks. The elite players get sacks. The great players get pressure. Can he become an elite player? First, he's got to prove he can be a great player in the NFL, but I think he will be. But then you got to be an elite player.
Well, the
how does that work?
Bengals needed help on defense no matter what position they took.
Yeah. 100%.
And then Jonas, my draft crush, went to Seattle.
I'm actually I probably wasn't as high on him as most Vikings fans were, especially since I might have a kind of local connection to Minnesota, but I probably don't have any connection to North Dakota. So that bias was out of the way, and I think the thing is, due to his Senior Bowl performance, I think he is worth betting on. But if you watch his pass sets, like this is some he has all the physical gifts that you can ask for. But if you watch his pass sets, which is basically a backpedal, it's just when he comes to the NFL, this will have to they will have to rebuild this from scratch. So he will probably need some time until he can put his physical gifts to good use. So it's a bet, it's a risk. It's probably a risk worth taking, but I'm not sure if I would have taken him top 20.
So let me ask you this, Jonas, because you also play the game. One of the things that Texas A&M did with their defensive linemen, and especially Stewart, was they didn't let them pin their ears back and rush the passer, because so much of the college game is built on, RPOs and stopping the run, and you got a lot of quick game kind of stuff. What they had them do is they had them play contain a lot, especially if he would play like from a 4-eye and a 5 technique, but also they're just attacking the outside shoulder, and they're like trying to hold up at the point of attack rather than try to actually bend the arc and get to the quarterback. How much does that impact how you view kind of some of those pass sets and how he's playing and creating havoc on defense?
I mean, it definitely matters, and I think you have to account for that. But in Zabel's case, I think it was more about the way that that they wanted their guys to set in North Dakota, and that's just a way that it's a way that many air raid offenses use as well. It was one of the probably biggest issues that Andrew Dillard had when he entered the NFL, because he had a very similar pass set. He also had this kind of backpedal pass set. And it's just something that you'll have to rebuild. You'll have to reteach that, and you don't have much time for that. So you probably take a guy like that with the knowledge that he probably needs a little bit more time than you have ahead of the season. So you just take the guy knowing that the first games, if you have to play him early, probably won't be pretty, and you can be okay with that. But it's just something that you have to take into account. And if you want a guy that is just a plug and play starter, it's just something you have to account for. So
okay, I apologize. I actually asked you a question about Shamar Stewart because that's what I thought you were talking about.
No, we're talking about crazy.
Zabel's interesting because you said like air raid pass concepts, but I'm curious now because NDSU runs a super pro style offense. Were you seeing him do a lot of those air raidy kind of pass sets? Then that's what kind of like raised like a red flag for you, because I didn't think he had good footwork much at all, and the play strength. The foot speed and the athleticism was really good. The footwork was kind of okay. The hands I hated, and I did not like the play strength. So I guess I would like some more context to understand a little bit more, because I'll be honest, I asked the wrong question.
The thing is, yes, they play mostly a pro style offense, but their pass sets are a little bit different. They do a little bit more vertical pass sets, so they don't go wide that much, because they just don't want to invite any inside pressure, and that's why they usually do that. And that's what Gray Zabel did a lot. And yeah, I think I did see that, and I wasn't alone with that. I've heard from others who saw that as well, and yeah, again, with those physical tools, it's definitely worth betting on. And his Senior Bowl performance went a long way for him to kind of ease those concerns. But it's just a timeline thing. You have to be okay with the timeline that it gets you. And if you're okay with that, you can take that guy top 20. But you just have to know that.
And he goes to, go ahead, Dave.
Well, which I'm about to say, Seattle obviously is. And the way they plan on running the wide zone, he's good at movement in the run game. On that end, they thought he was worth the pick.
Yeah, in the run game, definitely. I think pass sets will be a challenge at first, but otherwise, I think, especially if they put him inside, I think he will be fine. But just again, it's a timeline thing. It will probably linger a little bit into the first stretch of the season, and yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if, like, after the bye week, he then turns it on, and that's perfectly fine. But yeah,
as long as we play him before the bye week.
Sure.
I think he'll be embarrassed. He'll get his rookie upcomings when they play us.
Yeah, I like R. Emmer's comment. Zabel can play all 5 positions, and he's going to have to play all 5 positions for the Seattle Seahawks. Well, let's be nice. He only has to play 4 because Charles Cross is good at left tackle. This is where things started getting really intriguing. I had heard this as early as like Wednesday that it was a possibility. Emeka Egbuka from wide receiver Ohio State going to the Bucs. They needed to get younger in that wide receiver room. You have Mike Evans, who's 32. Chris Godwin is 30. They're not going to be long for the NFL. They are going to break down. They're going to, both guys got injured. Godwin missed half the year. Evans missed multiple weeks. They needed to find a way to get younger. But it was also interesting that they re-signed Godwin, but Evans only has one more year left, so they may be done with Evans after the year. This Jalen McMillan turned out to be a really good slot player for them last year. So I'm not sure how the room is going to be after the season, but I love Egbuka as a player. I would have loved him in Minnesota. We had talked about that on the Real Forno show because he does a lot of the dirty work like Cooper Kupp. He can block. He's a route running savant. He's physical. And he's got speed and yak ability. I thought that kind of package would be very intriguing for O'Connell. But we'll never know if that would have ended up happening if he got there. But Egbuka to the Bucs, Baker Mayfield's got to be thrilled.
Oh, he is. And then we got Jade Barron at the Donkeys. They got a steal there, I believe.
Damn, I was sad about that. Like, when he started falling closer to the 20s, I really got my hopes up. Because I think that's the kind of player that you want to see in a Brian Flores defense.
Yeah.
I didn't as a safety, Tyler.
I did. It's not that I don't think he can't play outside corner. I think he's better as a Minkah Fitzpatrick type. And what I mean by that is, as a Minkah Fitzpatrick type, you're being like a rover. You're being a joker. You can do a lot of different things. You're being able to use that versatility to your advantage. And I don't think like him playing outside corner is one of those things. I don't. I think him playing in the slot is one of those things. I think he can play, like he should play in the slot and he should be a safety. But I totally get the outside corner thing because he played it well. He really did. We'll find out what he's going to end up doing with the Broncos. I haven't heard the presser there for what he's going to be doing, but he's a really good football player, and 20 I think is a fair spot.
Mm-hmm. Now, Christopher Gates, Graham Poobah said, listening to Roger Goodell praise Green Bay, I almost had some yak ability tonight too. Yes, Chris, it's funny. It was funny when they put out that they've reached maximum capacity, and they had to turn people away because the fire department says too many people in here. But
yeah,
where all those people are staying, maybe they're throwing up tents. I have no idea.
Yeah,
but then we go on to, we talked about Derek Harmon, the Steelers, a true Steeler. Omarion Hampton went to the Chargers, and go figure, a running back to the Chargers, which I thought was a good pick. And then,
I mean, that was a Jim Harbaugh pick, like 100%.
That's the next Frank Gore.
Yeah,
they're gonna use him as a workhorse. He's gonna run for 1,500 yards, and he's going to be perfect for how Greg Roman likes to use running backs. It's a match made in heaven.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and it's going to work. Then came up the man in the middle, Green Bay Packers, and they made a selection they hadn't in years. A first-round wide receiver.
Yeah, this was interesting. I didn't like this at all. I liked the fact that it was a wide receiver. I don't think that this was the right guy for what the Packers have in that wide receiver room. They already have so many guys who need that kind of start motion to be able to avoid press and to be able to avoid physicality at the line of scrimmage. And Golden is one of those guys. He's not somebody who's going to just beat you off of the line of scrimmage. You can get a good jam in on him. So redundancy isn't always bad when it comes to wide receiver. I think redundancy for the Packers, like, I understand this is a Vikings podcast and, F the Packers and all that stuff, but I didn't love this for them. I think it just adds to the redundancy of that room, which is a problem for the Packers. They needed an alpha, and they didn't get one. This felt like a forced pick, and to me, that's a problem. Like, if this was like Buka, I'd feel really good about it because I think Buka can be an alpha. I think he can be a wide receiver one. But yeah, if you're a Packers fan, I don't like this at all. I don't like it one bit.
Well, and then came our pick, where we picked probably this overall the best guard in the draft. Mm-hmm. As you said, Booker has the power. He can push. Gray Zabel has the speed and the movement, and that's how he deals with his game. Well, we've got a combination of both. A man who came from Ohio State, was an All-American for 2 straight years, both a guard, and then last year he started at guard and got kicked out to center due to an injury, or out to tackle due to an injury, and he did extremely well. And as Kevin O'Connell said in his press conference, in his first game out at tackle, he went against the guy that was picked 3rd tonight. How do you feel about this pick, Jonas?
I think, kind of neutral. Like when I think the board didn't really fall that favorable to the Vikings, and when the two teams ahead let the clock tick down like to the last second, trying to get a trade done, I kind of got my hopes up a little bit that Vikings would actually get that done, which I would have preferred. if they would have been able to trade down. But of course, if they were of the opinion that they wanted an immediate contributor on the offensive line, which I don't hate, because it was like the one spot where I said during the whole process that I'm not really comfortable just penciling Blake Brandel in as the starter. I just don't think he earned that, and the Vikings obviously agreed, and therefore I understand it, because he probably would have gone to Houston the pick after that. So everybody who's saying, "Oh, you could have had him after a downtrade," no, probably not. Yeah, I'm okay with the player. I'm not like over the moon, but I also don't hate it.
Yeah. I'm kind of the same way. I'm not over the moon with it. I know Dave was really big this whole process about wanting a round belly right away. So he's thrilled. I'm very intrigued to know how bad the medicals were for a player like Jihad Campbell, a player like Will Johnson, a player like Savon Ravel. Because I had heard that if Campbell made it to 24, the Vikings were an intriguing team to get him. And Will Johnson was a projected top 5 pick going into the year. The only reason he's still on the board apparently is because his knee's degenerative. How bad is that? I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I haven't seen any like real analysis other than people think his knee is degenerative. Yeah. But it's projecting stuff out like that is kind of like projecting out draft prospects. There's so many things that could derail it or change things. So I'm interested to kind of learn more about that. And I think we will learn more about that in time. But I want to go back to the trade because I think it's interesting. Dave, I'm going to share my screen. Are you able to do that right now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So what about way through and put
and of course your voice goes to robot.
Or says
hold on.
Okay.
That was a nice sound effect.
Yeah, it was. Okay, why isn't it?
Just share it.
And you just killed it, and your voice is still all screwed up. But you're talking about the trade. Which trade are you talking about? The Giants and the Texans?
Yeah, I just hear the screen.
I'm going to go up there. Why aren't you going up there? Here, hold on. I will get it. I have the capabilities.
I will use that break because I have to get going. Because if I stick around, I'm gonna be late to
work.
Yeah, no, not yet. I'm gonna be back at work next week, but I have to be at the university today, and I also have to hold a presentation, so I can't be late today.
Okay. Well, thanks for coming on, Jonas. And you have a good one. All right. Well, there we go.
Sorry.
We got your screen.
Look, so ready the cast. We know sure
all we've got is robot, buddy. Let me explain.
Okay.
The Giants trading with Houston. Houston won the trade across both the Jimmy Johnson, the Hill, the Stewart, OTC, all the advanced analytics. They slaughtered this, and they got basically a mid-round pick for it. How's that?
Good.
Okay, there we go.
Yes. Okay. Scott says that I sound like him after 3 cigarettes. That's a phenomenal little bit. Dave, is the robot gone?
Yeah, it's gone.
Good. I don't know. This is the second time it's done that when we've tried sharing the screen, but I think you nailed it. One of the Kelly's like, I want that to be Tyler's permanent voice. Hell yeah, Kelly. That rocks. So it's a late day 2 value on the conventional charts, but it's a mid or early third round value on the analytical charts. But basically, one of the reasons why I bring this up is if the Vikings were offered this and they said no, it tells you the Vikings did not want to lose Donovan Jackson.
Right.
They believed Donovan Jackson was a guy. They wanted Donovan Jackson, and they knew they weren't going to get him.
Right. And they had done the top 30 visit. They talked to him, everything else, and everything, keyed in their mind. We want you. And we're willing to obviously give up a trade like that to get you. We think you're going to be that much of a benefit. Now, do I believe he's going to start since day one? Yes, I do. I believe he's going to start at left guard. Now, people say, well, if Darisaw is hurt, they may stick him at left tackle. I think they're going to stick him at left guard to have him learn his spot. If Darisaw still isn't ready, I think that's what Brandel's for. They'll move him over. Brandel's going to be the swing guy. And they'll move him over, and he can play. And I think Blake Brandel actually plays a little bit better at tackle than he does at guard. So I'm happy as could be, like a pig in slop. This is just great. We got a great round belly, and I think out of all 3 of the top 3 being Booker, Zabel, and Jackson, I think we actually got the best and most well-rounded of the 3. He's obviously got coming from a championship pedigree, which will go great with JJ McCarthy, even though JJ was pounding the table for Booker. I think this was an absolute beautiful pick at a necessary time. I don't think you could have traded down and still have gotten a guy that could come in and immediately start, because I think you would have lost him to the Texans. So I thought it was a brilliant pick. I like it. And I look forward to seeing him in purple. And I know our buddy Ted Glover, being a Ohio State alumni, will as well.
Yeah. But I also think that the fact that the Giants trade up for Jackson Dart was a huge mistake. I think they just lit 2 day 2 picks on fire. But hey, you know what? It's trending like I might be wrong about Bo Nix. I'm still waiting 2 more years for that. Nobody's victory lapping it yet, because that dude needs to prove a lot before he shows that he was worth a first round pick. Because the underlying metrics don't scream that guy was good last year. We'll just leave it at that. 26. That's the Falcons trade.
Bob Sweet said he loved MTV at first. So did I, Bob. When
video killed the radio star, baby. I know. Okay. So this is where things get interesting. James Pierce, they give up a fortune to go up to from 45 to 26. Just brutal. Sorry, Marzipan. We're moving you again. Ugh. I've had to move her 6 times because my legs keep falling asleep.
But when she went up to kiss her beard, she's so cute.
She's a very cute puppy. She's a good girl. She's a good marzipan. 27. I predicted this in my mock draft. I only got 4 official picks right because of the Travis Hunter trade. Man, Malachi Starks to the Ravens, just, of course. They do this every year. A guy falls to them that nowhere near should be there. And they nail it. Malachi Starks is a Raven. Imagine him and Kyle Hamilton for the next however many years. It's not fair.
No, they nail it. Now, to back up real quick to Jackson Dart, Randy Lewis says, I think Dart pick was to punish Kiper. Kuiper supposedly had a conniption fit, literally
he did.
fit online tonight because of it, because of Shadur Sanders falling and taking Jackson Dart over him.
Yeah, he did. I haven't gotten to see it, but I'm hoping somebody clipped it and put it on Twitter because I really want to watch it. Yeah, I don't think Sanders should have fallen out of round 1. I heard a good conspiracy theory from a friend of mine in the industry from the Daft on Draft podcast, Corey Kinnan and Dalton Miller. Dalton's theory was that the NFL didn't collude, but just kind of had this like wink, wink, nudge, nudge, like, hey, we're gonna this guy needs to get over himself. We're not going to take him in round 1 kind of thing. And considering he's a leader, you're supposed to be a leader as a quarterback, man, that's an interesting message. If that's the case, it's a good theory, good conspiracy theory, but man, I think he should have went round 1. I think he's a really, really good quarterback, but whoever gets him might get a guy just possessed and ready to light the world on fire. And if he does,
Henry says Sanders, as in Dion, went on social media and just absolutely railed why his kid was not drafted.
And honestly, that's probably the biggest reason why he didn't get drafted, his dad. There's a lot of positives about being Dion's son, learning how to deal with media, learning how to handle certain things. But how Dion handles his kid is a tough one. Dennis, we're going to get to your question about the Eagles because we're a couple picks away. 28, Tyleik Williams, the run-stuffing nose tackle from Ohio State. That's a great pairing with Aleem McNeil. Like, that is a very Lions pick, and it's a very good pick. I wasn't super high on Williams, but I think this is a great spot. They beef up the defensive line.
Do you think the NFC North reached on all their picks?
Loveland was going to go between like 7 and 14. So no. Golden, I thought about where he was drafted. Yeah. The offensive linemen, I think you could have grouped like a 4 or 5 of them and they could have gone between 20 and 35. I think Jackson, I would have projected to be the last of those taken. But if you're drafting an interior guy, okay. I think 24 might have been a tad high. He was 36 on the consensus board. But with how this class is, I don't think a 12-spot difference in the consensus board is really that big of a deal because it's a very flat class. Pick 12 is not going to be too different from pick 30.
Right.
So 50. I'm not. And then Tyleik Williams, let's see. I have the consensus board pulled up. Let's see where Tyleik Williams is.
The Arif Hassan consensus board.
Only use the Arif Hassan consensus board. It is the best one. Tyleik Williams, 41, the number 2 nose tackle in this class, according to the consensus board. Look, that's a good football player. And defensive tackle, there wasn't another one close. The next defensive tackle on the list was Darius Alexander, 3 technique at 52 overall. So if you want a defensive tackle, okay, I get it. That's fine. I don't have a problem with that. I don't think anybody really reached on their picks, even if it's like a reach on the consensus board because of what this class is. So I'm not too worried.
Because it is so flat between pick 11 and 50.
Mm-hmm. Yep. All right. 29. I don't have a lot to say about this. Josh Connerly Jr., offensive tackle from Oregon, goes to the Washington Commanders. I'm interested to see what Connerly does.
Is he going to play tackle or guard?
He could be a guard. I didn't think he would be. I thought by looking at his film, I'm like, I don't think this guy's a guard. But they may move him inside. They had a lot of success with Sam Cosmi. Cosmi, I thought, was a tackle only. And he's now one of the better guards in the NFL, and he's paid like it. So, look, if they're right, good pick. Otherwise, you could put him a right tackle, but he needs to improve that play strength because he does not have a lot of it.
Yeah, and we want to see the NFC East get a little bit better so somebody beats up on the Eagles.
Yeah. 30, Maxwell Hairston, cornerback, Kentucky, goes to the Bills. They needed to get some talent in corner. because when one of those guys got injured last year, it was bad. They re-signed Tre'Davious White to like a very incentive-laden deal, hoping that, hey, if you can play well enough, then this might be worth it for us. But they needed somebody. Hairston, very explosive, athletic, and he ran a 4.28 40, and that shows up on tape. All right, now this is where we'll get to. I think was it Dennis that asked the question? Yes. Dennis asked, why the hell did the Eagles move up one pick? Easy. Their guy was on the board and they just wanted to make sure that they got him, and the Chiefs didn't. I love Jihad Campbell. I love him. I love him. I love him.
You're willing to overlook the medical issues.
My stance has been, if the Vikings were comfortable with the medical issues, I'm smashing it. And I've been prefacing it with that because I don't know the medical issues and how severe they are, because I have not looked at the data. I can only go by what's reported.
Now,
so
do you think they measured those medical issues against what was available with?
Yes.
Donovan Jackson, and said, no, we're going Jackson? Or
yes.
were they just, we're going Jackson?
I think that the opinion to go Jackson over Campbell is always going to be you're always going to start with the fact that there are medicals. So I really don't have an issue with that. Like, they didn't want to. I respect it. That's fine. I get it. And then 32. What?
Kevin O'Connell said they're going to fix the interior O-line after we were drummed out of the playoffs after game 1. And that's what he did this offseason. You've got to give it to him. He went to Kwesi, says, let's fix it. And they've done that.
Mm-hmm.
At least on paper.
Yeah. I got to eat a little crow. I didn't think they'd be able to address all 3 spots. And they did. Big kudos. And I think now that we're in this new era of Kwesi adofo-mensah's team building strategy, where he doesn't have to worry about the cap as much. You still have to work within the constraints of it, but you don't have these massive burdens. Welcome. We got people watching live from Australia. I love it. Thank you guys so much, everybody, for joining. We still have 130 people in this room at 1:16 a.m. Central Time. What a special group you guys are. And This is so much fun. Please like, subscribe, and ring the bell. We probably won't have a show tomorrow morning, but we'll have one. We'll have a live stream tomorrow night, and it'll be a lot of fun. 32, we kind of briefly touched on it. I touched on it before the show. Josh Simmons, the Ohio State tackle. There were some character concerns with him. I heard they were pretty rough, but the Chiefs don't care. They don't care at all. They got a really good player. And that's the first round, Dave.
The rich getting richer. Yeah, I got you. And Cole, thank you so very much. Do you think the Vikings, he asked, do you think the Vikes trade down from 97?
I think so. I don't know how far they'll go. But they also just may be like, you know what, we're just going to have 4 picks and we're going to be okay with that. Because how many guys are you going to realistically have? Like, if you were, like, how many spots do you have open on the roster right now?
You got holes on the 90-man, but it's not, you don't have holes at starter.
So maybe only having 4 picks isn't going to be such a big deal this year.
Right.
And, you know, maybe that's cope. Maybe I'm coping a little bit because we just don't have many picks. But you have to have roster spots for those guys. And there just aren't a lot of roster spots right now. So I'm okay. We'll end with R. Emmer's question about, is there a raw toolsy defensive tackle in the next couple of rounds? Not really. You can talk about Omar Norman Lott, but he's such a disaster when it comes to the run game. I'm out. It's a no. An absolutely not. So
Australian Sculpture says we need a linebacker. There's probably some available.
I don't see. Here's the thing. I loved Campbell and I would have pounded the table for him. I don't think we need a linebacker. I think they feel pretty good about the room as it is. I know.
And Christopher Gates, The Grand Poobah says 20 plus UDFAs coming. Yes.
Oh, there will be because there's the roster spots for them. I would project probably 1, 2, or 3 make the team. Like usual. We are actually going to end the show here with Cole. Most realistic options are on pick 100, 150. I'll rattle off a few that I'm really interested in. Cornerback from Louisville, Quincy Riley. Kansas cornerback, Kobe Bryant. Oregon defensive tackle, Jamari Caldwell. Colorado State wide receiver, Torrey Horton. Kansas State running back, DJ Giddens. I think those are all guys that we can target around pick 97. Some of them may be off the board already, but we'll see. Thank you guys. Go ahead,
I'm glad you can join me and we could talk Donovan Jackson tonight and the rest of the first round. It's been fun. It's late. And I want to appreciate everybody that's joined us. Heck, we still have over 120 people watching. And our fans absolutely rock. And we appreciate you like no end.
Yes, 100%. Thanks, everybody, for joining. Don't forget, tomorrow night, live, 15 minutes before the start of the draft, which is going to be 5:45. And then 15 minutes before the start of the draft on Saturday, 10:45. We are going to have a lot of fun. Day 2 is the best day of the draft because there's so many good players that go and there's a lot happening and it's really rapid fire. I love day 2. Day 2 is going to be great. And we're going to talk about all of it. We may have some guests. And same with day 3. But get ready. It's going to be fun. Thank you guys so much once again. If you're listening on audio in the morning, thank you as well. We're appreciative of everybody here. I'm Tyler. He's Dave. And thank you again also from Jonas, who is on his way to work. SKOL Vikings, everybody.
Yep, SKOL Vikings. And look forward to that top 5 O-line. Thanks for watching Vikings First and SKOL. Please like, subscribe, and ring the bell. And share this episode with your friends and even your enemies. We'd love it. We are part of the Fans First Sports Network, and we appreciate each and every one of you. SKOL.